Hello learners, I am Dr. Manish Kumar Bhardwaj from School of Engineering and Technology of IGNOU. Today we will be discussing about repairing materials for defected sanitary fittings. In last lecture we discussed about the preliminary things related to this topic and different type of tools that are used in plumbing and sanitary fittings. Today we will be discussing about the maintenance of water supply and drainage system. Some of the points I discussed with you in the last lecture. In continuation to that, now I will move to some other facts related to the maintenance of water supply and drainage system. So now I begin with cleaning of clogged pipes. You know that clogging of pipes is caused by encrustation and scale formation, and clogging of pipes due to encrustation and scale formation reduces the flow, and hence it is necessary either to remove the encrustation or to replace the pipe. These are the two solutions, so that we can restore the carrying capacity of the pipeline. Now first let us discuss water supply pipes. If the pipe is clogged badly, the best solution will be to replace it with new pipe. However, if clogging is partial, then it can be removed by passing a wire brush attached to a small metal rod. By pushing the rod back and forth in the section of the pipe to be cleaned, all particles adhering to the pipe can be removed. Another method is to clean the pipe using dilute nitric acid to dissolve all the scales. Another method which is used for cleaning pipelines is by flushing with water flowing at high velocity. While flushing, care is to be taken to ensure that the flows are in one direction and the dirty water does not enter the cleaned section. Also, care shall be taken to ensure that the water pressure does not exceed the permissible limit, because for every pipe there is a prescribed limit that how much pressure it can withstand. So here the pressure that you are applying for cleaning the pipe, it should not exceed that limit. If the pressure is more, the pipelines are likely to burst under high pressure. It is advantageous if the water used for flushing is mixed with chlorine solution of strength 10 milligram per liter. It helps in dislodging the microscopic biological growths and disconnecting the pipeline from the segment which is not clogged. So this way we can clean the clogged water pipelines. Now we move to sewer lines. The objective of sewer maintenance is to keep the system operations satisfactorily without breakdown. The system is susceptible for corrosion, erosion, clogging and other deterioration. One of the critical problems facing the sewer line maintenance is that of the clogging. Clogging can be in horizontal lines or in vertical stacks. Now we will discuss the removal of clogging in horizontal lines as well as in vertical stacks. Now removal of clogging in horizontal lines. We can use for this purpose portable pump set. In case where sewers are blocked completely and sewage has accumulated in manholes, the collected sewage has to be pumped out to tackle the sewer blockage. Such pumps should be of non-clogging type, preferably on 4-wheel trailers for the larger size, and should be provided with a self-priming unit to save time and effort. Small pneumatic pumps can be used where high lifts are required and the volume of liquid to be pumped is not large, such as when pumping out flooded basements and dewatering deep trench excavations. Then another thing which we can use is sectional sewer rods. These rods are used for cleaning small sewers. The sewer rods may be of bamboo or teak wood or light metal, usually about 1 meter long, at the end of which is a coupling which remains intact in tile sewer but can be easily disjointed in the manhole. Sections of the rods are pushed down in the sewer until the obstruction is reached and disjointed. The front or the advancing end of the sewer rod is generally fitted with a cutting edge to cut and dislodge the obstruction. These rods are also useful to locate the obstruction from either manhole in case that particular portion of the sewer has to be exposed for repairing the damages. Then another tool which we can use is flexible sewer rod. The flexible rod used in manual cleaning is usually made by sandwiching a manila rope between bamboo strips and tying at short intervals. The flexible rod is introduced first from one manhole to the other, its end being connected to a thicker rope which, when dragged down the sewer, draws out sand and detritus into the downstream manhole. This method is adopted in routine clearing of sewers. Another device which we use here is ferret, used in conjunction with a fire hose. This is used for breaking and removing the stoppages. It uses a fire hose connection and produces a small but high velocity stream of water forward, means upstream, from a central nozzle and several lower velocity jets to the rear, means on the downstream side. The forward stream loosens the accumulated debris ahead of the tool, and the rear jets of the ferret admits water to wash the sand back downstream, where it can be removed from the manhole manually. The ferret must be attached to a fire hose of sufficient length to reach at least the next manhole and must be kept in motion to prevent sand from blocking fire hose in the line. Now we move to another device, sewer cleaning bucket machine. The bucket machine consists of two powered winches with cables in between. In cleaning a sewer, the winches are centered over two adjacent manholes. To get the cable from one winch to other, it is necessary to thread the cable through the sewer line by means of a sewer rod. The cable from the drum of each winch is fastened to the barrel on each end of an expansion sewer bucket fitted with closing device, so that the bucket can be pulled in either direction by the machine on the appropriate end. The bucket is pulled into the loosened material in the sewer until the operator feels that it is loaded with debris. The motor is then thrown out of gear and the opposing winch is put into action. When the reverse pull is started, the bucket automatically closes and the dirt is deposited in a truck or a trailer. This operation is repeated until the line is clear. Various bucket sizes are available for sewers, which are of 150 to 900 mm in size. The machine is also used along with other scraping instruments for loosening sludge bank or detritus or cutting roots and dislodging obstructions. So, for these purposes this machine can be used. Now, we move to another device, that is dredger. A dredger can be used to clean larger manholes. It consists of a crane and a pulley with the help of which a grab bucket is lowered. This scraps the bottom deposits and brings it to the ground, where the bucket opens and the silt is automatically dropped into a truck or a trailer. The disadvantage in this system is that it cannot clean the corners of the catch pits of a manhole. Sometimes the deposits at the corners may become so hard that the same may be required to be chiseled out. You have to cut it using the chisel. It may become so hard. Now, we move to another device, that is rodding machine with flexible sewer rods. This consists of a machine which rotates a flexible rod to which is attached the cleaning tools such as auger, corkscrew or hedgehog and sand cups. The flexible rod consists of a series of steel rods with screw couplings. The flexible rod is guided through the manhole by a bent pipe. The machine rotates the rod with the tool attached to one end, the other being fixed to the machine. The rotating rod is thrust into the bent, holding the rod near the couplings. As the rod is thrust inside, the machine also drawn towards the manhole. The rod is pulled in and out in quick successions when the tool is engaging the obstruction, so as to dislodge or loosen it. When the obstruction is cleared, the rod is pulled out by means of clamps, keeping the rod rotating to facilitate quick and easy removal. Now, we move to another device, that is scraper. This method is used for sewers of diameter larger than 750 mm. The scraper is an assembly of wooden planks of slightly smaller size than the sewer to be cleaned. Where the scrapers cannot be lowered through the opening of a manhole, the scraper has to be assembled inside the manhole. The scraper chains being attached to a control chain in the manhole where it is lowered is then connected to a winch on the next downstream manhole by means of chains. The winch is then revolved to push the debris ahead of the scraper. The heading up of the flow behind the scraper will also assist in pushing it in the forward direction. This ensures that the bottom and the sides of sewer are cleaned thoroughly. The scrap debris is removed manually. Now, we move to another device which is used for clogged pipes, that is automatic flushing tanks. The automatic flushing tanks employ all outside water source with a controlled flow so that the required quantity of water is released at predetermined intervals, and that way that clogging is avoided. Now, we move to another device which is hydraulically propelled devices. The hydraulically propelled devices take advantage of the force of impounded water to effectively clear sewers. Efficiency depends on the hydraulic principle that an increase in velocity in a moving stream is accompanied by a greatly increased ability to move entrained material. The transporting capacity of water varies as the sixth power of its velocity. Now, another device that we use for this purpose is flush rags, a most effective tool for cleaning portions of sewers where rods cannot be used is the sewer flusher or flush bag. The flusher is a canvas bag or rubber bag, and it is equipped with a fire hose coupler at one end, reducer at the other end. The flusher is connected to the fire hose and placed in the downstream and from the point where a choke is located. The bag is allowed to fill up until it expands and seals the sewer. Upstream pressure built up due to this damming effect breaks loose the obstructions. Caution must be exercised in using these type of devices, as there is a likelihood of sewage flowing back into the house connections or breaking the pipes or joints due to high pressure that may develop there. Then another device is sewer balls. These are simple elastic pneumatic type rubber balls which can be blown up to varying degrees of inflation. They are manufactured in sizes from 150 mm to 750 mm diameter when fully inflated. When used in cleaning a sewer, the ball is first inflated and then wrapped in a canvas cloth, the edges of which are sewed together. A trial line little longer than the distance between the manholes is attached securely to the covering. The size of the ball and the covering shall be such as to fit fairly snugly into sewer. Immediately the ball is thrust into the sewer, sewage commences to back up in the manhole and continues to rise till such time as its pressure is great enough to force sewage under the ball and moving it downstream through the pipe. Acting as a compressible floating plug, it affords enough obstruction so that a continuous high velocity jet spurts under and to some extent around the ball, thereby sluicing all the movable material ahead to the next manhole. If the ball encounters an obstruction which is immovable, the ball merely indents to the necessary degree and moves forward. The only fixed obstruction which will stop the forward progress of the ball is a root mass or some similar obstruction tightly wedged into the pipe, because these may cause obstruction to the progress of the ball. Bricks, stones, bottles, loose metal parts, broken pieces of pipes, sand, gravel and settled sludge are easily moved ahead. If the ball stops momentarily, a pull on the trial line is usually sufficient to set it in motion again. If the pipe is very dirty, the trial line can be tied a step in the upper manhole, aid the ball's progress can be retarded to the required. If the pipe is very dirty, the trial line can be tied a step in the upper manhole, aid the ball's progress can be retarded to the required. This degree as the lower manhole is reached, thus giving time for complete removal of accumulated silt and debris which has piled up ahead of the ball. A wooden ball, also called as sewer pill, can also be used for this purpose, particularly for cleaning large outfall sewers. It is dropped in the sewer and owing to its buoyant action rolls along the invert of the sewer. The obstructions caused by it to the flow produces a vigorous scouring action along the invert and the slides, which has the effect of removing the growths and the deposits from the sewers. This method is cheap and hence can be used at frequent intervals. Then we move to another device, that is sewer scooter. This arrangement is an improved version of the scraper and consists of the two jacks, a controlling rope and the scooter with a tight fitting shield. In contrast to the scraper, the scooter completely stops any flow of sewage. The scooter attached to the control rope is lowered into the manhole and then into the downstream sewer line. The downstream manhole jack is lowered into place from the rod and the upper manhole jack set across the top of the manhole. When the scooter is introduced into the line, it stops the flow of sewage, thus building up a head behind the shield. The resulting pressure causes the scooter to move through the sewer line until it accumulates enough debris to stop its movement. The head is then allowed to build up approximately 1 meter before the control rope is pulled, causing the shield to fold back, thus allowing the accumulated sewage to gush into the sewer downstream and flushing the debris ahead to the next manhole from where it is removed. The control rope is released, clearing the shield against the sewage and causing the scooter to advance again until the debris stops its movement. This progress is repeated till the scooter reaches the downstream manhole, where it may be removed or allowed to continue through the next section. Then till now we were discussing the removal of clog in horizontal pipelines or horizontal sewers. If the stoppage or blockage is in the vertical part of the sewer line, often called the soil stack, you may have to cut a hole in the cast iron pipe and insert the spring steel auger, which is also called a snake through that. Choose a convenient spot to work on, perhaps about 3 feet up from the cellar floor. Keep the hole small. A substitute to a snake is heavy rubber garden hose. The hose can be used if the snake is not readily available with the plumber. You want it merely large enough so you can insert a snake and small enough so you can later tap a thread into the soil stack and screw in a pipe plug. A hole 25 mm or 32 mm in diameter will be sufficient. There are two ways to cut such a hole, either with a diamond point chisel or with a metal hole saw. So either of this device you can use for cutting the hole. So when you cut a hole, what will happen? You should be ready for a flood as soon as you break through the sewer pipe if the stoppage point is below the hole you make. All the blocked up water will pour out. So it is wise to have some pails or barrels ready to catch it. If the stoppage is above your hole, there is much less likelihood of sudden flood. When the stoppage is broken, since most of the released water will sweep down the soil stack past the hole. So there are different methods which we use here, and first method is diamond point chisel method. If you choose a diamond point chisel and hammer, be careful to keep the hole small at first and enlarge it slowly and carefully so as to not split the pipe. Means here splitting of pipe may occur if you are not careful. When the hole is not just an inch in diameter, try inserting the snake. If the hole is too small to work through, enlarge it a little more, push the snake in the direction of the stoppage and break it up or push it along. When your stoppage is cleared, you can turn to the task of making the hole round and cutting a thread for a pipe plug. Use a pipe tap reamer to enlarge the hole and make it perfectly round. A square wrench or monkey wrench can be used to turn the reamer. Then insert the pipe tap, making sure it is perpendicular to the surface of the center of your hole, and turn the tap slowly with a monkey wrench in a clockwise direction to form a regular or right hand thread. When the tap stops or becomes too hard to turn without brute strength, turn it back and oil the surface you are cutting. Turn the tap in again and repeat the maneuver of oiling and cutting until you have a thread all the way into the pipe. Try screwing a pipe plug in. If it seems to fit reasonably tightly, remove it and apply white lead or pipe compound or dope to the pipe threads and then screw the plug in. Another method is metal hole saw method. The other method of cutting a hole in cast iron pipe is to use a metal hole saw or cutter. It has a square shank so that it can be fitted into a bit brace. It can also be fitted into an electric drill. Note that you have a center for the circular saw blade. Different size saw blades or cutters can be inserted and screwed tight into various slots to cut holes for pipes taps of 25 mm, 32 mm, 40 mm and 50 mm diameters. Be careful not to press too hard or you may break the cutter. If you are using an electric drill, a pilot drill of 12 mm diameter is advised. Holes cut with a metal hole saw are perfect circles and do not have to be reamed. Use a pipe tap to cut a thread in the same manner as we just discussed for the diamond point chisel method. Then dope and screw the pipe plug. So this way you can make the hole in the cast iron pipe. I hope you must have enjoyed this discussion. We will continue further this topic in next lecture. So thank you.